the Klay thing is a thing. That is going to be a big decision for Kerr in one of these games where I don't think he's one of their best 5 players in the series. I think he's, in a lot of ways, helps the Celtics more than the Warriors if he still feels like he's 2016 Klay when he's not. And I say this in the least inflammatory, most respectful way possible. They're going to have a situation where there's going to be a game in Boston when it might not make sense to have him out there. And my question is, with all the equity that he's built in this Warriors relationship, how much his teammates value him, the coach values him, all the shit that he went through, is Kerr going to have that moment where he's just like, I need to win this game. You can't, I'm going to have to take you out. You're going to be sitting on the bench for this one. It's tough, man. We've seen it in basketball how many times over the years. It's going to happen in this series, I'm telling you.
I disagree.
You disagree? You think they keep him out?
Yeah. This is a guy 10 days ago had 32 points in the closeout game against Dallas. The closeout game against Memphis, he was 8 of 14 from 3 for 30 points. Those are the elimination games.
Yeah.
We also know what coaches do. It's why Iguodala got a chance to run around in game 1, even though Iggy hit some shots over the course of how a defense is set up against you. Like, there were just some possessions where you had Draymond and Iguodala out there at the same time, and it was like 5 Celtics with a foot in the paint, it felt like, except for maybe Klay on the other side in some of the non-Steph minutes. So coaches trust people. They trust these guys. They never want to give up on them. I understand your point.
I don't think it's a give up. I think it's a one-night thing. They're going to have a decision where it's like, I got to play these 5 guys, and you're not one of them.
All right. I think there was some weird, some of the Memphis games, he had the 6-20 game in there. He was 6-19, 5-19, and 6-20 in 3 of those 6 games.
Today he was 4 for 19.
Yeah, he was terrible.
What was his plus minus? Not that it matters, but what was his plus? Oh, he was a 0 plus minus in a game they won by 19. But
I would bet you that the odds of him getting subbed out in a tight one where they feel like he's not giving them enough, because at no point will the Celtics stop guarding Klay Thompson. He could go 0 for 20.
That's
and
fair.
They have to guard him. He's somebody like, that's what we're looking for in playoff games. How many people do you have to respect defensively? And Klay can miss every shot, and they still have to close out. They still have to guard him. I thought Klay actually did a good job on the closeouts, kind of driving a little bit more. I would bet you we're going to get a real vintage Klay game. That's far more likely than him being taken out of a closing rotation. So yes,
this sounds like a bet for us. I'll tell you this. Like, by like the 8th miss with him today, or 9th miss, it was that awkward silence sound when the super electric home crowd and the miss followed by the, it's like one of those sounds. I watch out for it. I think the Celtics were pretty comfortable when he was out there, but you're right. He's such a threat at all times. I just feel like Porter and Wiggins, when they're out there together, I don't even know how many minutes they played together. Porter's on a minutes restriction apparently, but when it was like those two together with Curry and with some size, that seemed like the toughest lineup for the Celtics. I also thought Bielitsa played well in the limited minutes.
He holds up, man.
Yeah, I don't know why
he
didn't. Also, always kills the Celtics. So I don't understand the Iguodala thing. But to your point about why you think they wouldn't do that to Klay, that was why Iguodala played game 1. And by the way, his knee's like all sore now, and we probably won't see him again in the series. But Kerr felt like he owed it to him to give him a chance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, of all the years we've been watching this game, the number of times where you're like, why is this guy playing? And I mean, hell, even Ime at the beginning of this year, you'd be like, why are you trusting Josh Richardson and Schroeder in these spots? It's like, well, because they have the resumes. Right. Like, they're the guys. Like, remember the beginning of the year? Like, Pritchard looked like he was buried. Neesmith was behind Langford. And you're going, all right, the coach, is always going to trust somebody a little bit more that's done it before. And even though Iguodala hadn't played since the opening series, I was not surprised if he was cleared that he was going to give him some minutes. The problem was, even though he made shots in game 1, it didn't feel like it was real sustainable to set your offense up with 2 people that the Celtics felt like they could ignore. And there was even a couple times
it's tough
tonight.
To hop into a finals game and just be like, okay, guys, let me try to feel this out.
Yeah, and by the way, you're initiating a lot of stuff too. It's not like you're some spot-up shooter.
Klay by the round 3-point percentage. He's 4 for 15 in this series. Last series he was 32.7. The Memphis series was 36.8. Denver series 42.8. But I'm throwing that one out. That was fucking. You think about like the guys on Denver versus who the Celtics have. I don't know. I think I can't remember a finals like this where I'm not sure as it evolves who are the crunch time guys will be when we finally have like a game, and it might be game 3. By the way, Scott Foster will be there for game 3. I'm already. The extender will be in the house. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'd heard it's 12 refs that are rotated into an NBA Finals.
Yeah, so we'll see Scott Foster. So that'll be good for the Warriors.
I could be wrong about that. I thought this is what I heard.
But yeah, from a matchup standpoint, like who do you think the Warriors' best 5 is in this series? Let's say it's 98-98 with 5 minutes left in game 3. Who do you think's out there for each team? Because I think for the Celtics, I think they have to play White and Smart together. That's when they've had White, Smart, Brown, Tatum, and Horford. I think that's the 5. I think White's, with his defense and the way his ability to kind of slash and kick and all that, I think he's one of their 5 best guys in this series. You would have said Grant Williams 2 series ago, but no more. I think it's White for this one. So who do you have for the Warriors?
Maybe, but that could change too. Like Grant could have a really good offensive name. He didn't do anything tonight in 21 minutes. I actually think he was he had 6 points and 1 rebound tonight. I thought he got way too caught up in all the Draymond thing, and I think that I'd love to know what his total minutes were in the fourth quarter because it looked like he was a little bit more limited in how often they were going to him there. It's Draymond, it's Wiggins, it's obviously Steph. I'm not knocking Klay out of the top 5. So I think what we looked at was a version of
Looney. You go Looney or Bielitsa?
No. Here's what I think is still in play here, because again, every game has a different personality. With Poole, you want to call it front running, fine. But that's why they left Klay out there to get him some more looks late to try to get some sort of carryover confidence stuff, which, I think is a real thing. Some people would argue against it. But now there can be some version of this where it's a closing group with Poole or Looney, which is something we were talking about before. It's
you forgot one guy. Peyton.
Well, no, I'm not forgetting him. I'm just thinking.
No, but I think it's Peyton and Curry definitely. I think it's Draymond definitely, and I think it's Wiggins definitely. So that 5th spot is between Klay and Poole and Looney, and maybe Porter. That's why this is such a great series. It might be game to game. It might just be maybe Poole doesn't have it this game, but I don't see them playing Klay, Curry, and Poole at the same time in a close game against the Celtics.